Okay, so first you're going to say File, New, and you're going to want 640 by 480. You're going to hit Create. So this is our stage where we see the action. Here's our tools. And down here is where we tell it what kind of actions to take over time. All right, so in our toolbar down at the bottom here, you can choose a color. I'm going to choose red just because we're supposed to have a red dot. And then we're going to hit O and grab the oval tool. And this one still works that you hold down Shift to keep it a perfect circle, or you can distort it. But we want a perfect circle for this. So we got a lovely red circle. So we can see right here, it's 30 frames per second. Each one of these represents a frame, and there's only one frame happening right now, so a 30th of a second, but that's okay. We can insert more frames, and we're going to do that by going down in our timeline, holding down the Control key while we click, or right click. So Control click or right click, insert frame. So I'm going to grab the black arrow, the selection tool, and I can move this around, but nothing's happening. That's because we have to create motion. So to do that, you want to tell it that this is motion. And by the way, you can see the little page here. It's going to turn to a different symbol when we create motion. So Control click, create motion tween. And that's just, I'm going to hit don't show again. Just hit OK. That's fine. Nothing to worry about. I'm going to move my playback head to the end. And then there we go. So now, if I hit my little play button here, we'll see it play. I can also click on the line and change the path. It's a little tricky. Sometimes it's cranky. All right, so a better way to preview it and a way that shows you some animation things that won't show up just playing it here is Command Return, and it plays it and it makes an SWF. That's a standalone format, but it also gives you a preview. So there we go. It's moving around. Great. I'm going to close that window. And I'm going to double click layer 1. I'm going to call it red dot. And I don't want to accidentally click this layer. You have to, every individual motion has to be on its own layer. So I want to lock it. There we go. Notice there's a little eye icon in case you need to hide it, turn it on and off. But I'm going to lock it, and I'm going to hit this plus right here and make another layer. And you can see that this has the little like diamonds, meaning it has motion, and this is a page, meaning we haven't done anything, we haven't made motion. It's just a layer right now. So I'm going to click and choose a different color so I can see the difference. I'm going to grab the rectangle tool, R on the keyboard. We'll select that tool. I'm going to draw out a square. And again, you can see it's a different color. It's gray. That means there's no motion. Control click, create motion tween. And I'm going to grab the black arrow here and move it across. And as always, the selection tool is V, and I'll hit Command Return so we can see it moving. Now, if we click down here on the timeline, we go to Properties, you can see that right here it says tweening, and then, you know, all these ease, oriented path. We're interested in rotate, so I'm just going to tell it to rotate one time. So now, if I hit Command Return, my little square is rotating. if I hit Q on my keyboard, it will select the transform tool. And I'm going to move into the middle here, and you can tell the transform tool is on it because it has the shape around it, like the vector shape around it. And I can make it bigger, and then if I move down in my timeline, it's still on the transform tool, I can make it smaller. So now it is going to change size over time while it's also rotating. So you can see that now this timeline has also, the symbol has changed. And when you see these little circles and diamonds, those are keyframes, key points where things change. It's telling you you did something to, you animated something there, you changed something there. And I'm going to name this blue square so I know what it is. And then I'm going to lock it so I don't accidentally work on it. And let's make one more layer. And we'll choose a different color. It can be a circle, it can be a square, it can be whatever you want. There we go. And again, it's gray, so it doesn't have motion. So I'm going to control click and create motion tween. And let's see. Put it here, grab my black arrow V on the keyboard always. I'll move it. Maybe I'll move it. There we go. You can see it's making little diamonds that show I've changed the direction. I'll move it again. And when I play it, you can see as I put layers on, the bottommost one is at the bottom, and the next one's on top of that, and then the one I just made is on the very tip top. So let me stop that. So previously we had clicked on here to get rotate, and I have a circle, so you're not going to see anything rotate. But if I click on the circle on the up here on the stage, then I can get some different parameters come up. So if we watch the properties, click on the stage, click on the timeline, you see they change. So I'm going to click on the stage. I'm going to move this into the middle again. And notice that there's this color effect. So brightness is how bright or dark it is. Tint just changes the tint. Advanced used to have everything. It still does. Yes, there we go. Alpha is how transparent it is. And then all the different colors are here. And alpha is, again, the transparency. So I'm just going to go to advanced so I get all the goodies. I will, I'll make it semi-transparent. I'll change the color some. Let's see. There we go. And you can see the point here it made. I'll move it farther down. Maybe I'll change it again. Click back on the stage. All right. And now it's going to change and become transparent over time. And I'll just stop that. Okay, so now we want to name this layer. I'll just name it circle color change. All right. So we have made these objects in Animate. It does have some primitive tools for drawing and painting and stuff like that. We're going to go over some better ways to make things, but just for simple circles, squares, stuff like that, it's fine. We want to bring in an image. We want to import an image for our background. And we're going to, these are vector based, and you can tell when you click on them and they have the vector points around them, we're going to bring in a pixel-based image, but we need to make a layer for it. So we're going to go down here in our timeline and click the new layer button. And I'm just going to name it background because I know it's going to be the background. Now, can you drag and drop things in here? Sure, but I don't recommend it. Someone did that and they had the wrong format, or their file was damaged, and it messed up their whole project they've been working on. So a simpler thing is File, Import to Library. I recommend importing everything to the library. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to my desktop, and let's see. I just need a JPEG. Oh, that's someone's project. That's the person's face. Let's grab these. I'll grab these kittens. They're not great, but for the moment, they'll be fine. I'll hit open. And then over here, you have properties and you have library. So let's go to library, and there we go. There's our kitten. So I'll try and import another image. File, import to library. Oh, there's a little mouse. He's very cute. I had a map on here. Let's see. Oh, perfect. There's a background from our background project. So I'll hit open. And now if I click on it, oh, it's a background from our background project. Great. Well, I have the layer for backgrounds and I have the JPEG. I'm going to drop it on there. Perfect, except it's covering everything up. Well, that's a problem. But all you have to do is just go and drag it to the bottom, and now everything's on top of it. So I have a background, I have stuff moving around. It's all good. Now, just because this is a JPEG doesn't mean it has to be static. I could control click and create motion. And now I can animate the background, and I'm going to make it, I'm going to go to the free transform, which is Q. Normally I wouldn't make a pixel-based image bigger because it gets pixely, but just for this demo I will. So here we go. Now when I hit Command Return, and it looks kind of like they're zooming in or falling or something. So this is just the basics of the basics right now. So let me close that. So I want to get some audio in. So I'll make a new layer and I'll call it sound. Now sound works a little different. You need a layer for it. And then same thing, I'm going to import it to library. Import to library. There's a lot of different sounds in here. So I've got a couple here. I'm going to shift click them and hit open, and there they go. And you can see as I click on each thing that I imported, it shows up. So here's the cats, here's the sound. By the way, I can play it. And I can play this one. And it's symbol 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, actually 1, 2, and 3 are my shapes I made. That's because I changed the size of this background. Okay, so everything you're using should be in your library. So I have these sounds. How do I get them into my project? Well, make sure, I'm going to lock my background. So I have everything locked, but my sound layer. I am going to take this and drop it on the stage. So just watch this. And when I drop on the stage, it starts at the beginning by default. Now, maybe you don't want the sound to start at the beginning. So I'm going to hit Command Z to undo it. If you want it to start at a specific place, you have to control click and insert a keyframe. A keyframe is telling the animation this is a point where something's going to move or change. So insert a keyframe and drop your sound on the stage. So now we can see my waveform. So I'm going to hit Command Return and play. It's a masterpiece. Okay, so I'm going to stop that. So let's say that is exactly what you wanted. It's a great thing of beauty. You love it. But now you want a whole nother scene. They've left this area and they're going somewhere else. So if you look here, you can see that you could try and start something new continuing from here, but that's really hard. And an easier solution would be to just insert a scene. So insert scene, insert scene. And it appears like you lost everything, but you totally didn't. If you look here where it says scene in the down arrow, I can go back to scene 1. There's my animation. And I can go back to scene 2 where there's nothing. I'm going to put the kittens on the background here. Come on, kittens. And then right now the kittens are only 1 frame, so if I play it, they're just gonna flash. Boom, you didn't even really see them. So I have to insert some frames. So I'm gonna control click, insert frame, and there we go. Now the kittens are there for a while. I'm gonna name it kitten, my layer kitten. I'm gonna add another layer. I'll draw a shape. And I will control click to create motion. Alrighty. There we go. And I think I'll call that blue dot so I know what it is. And by the way, if you leave a space, it'll squawk at you, and it wants an underline in between things. And we can see that the kitten layer is not animated because it's just a page icon, and this is diamond icon, so it is animated. So I'm just going to lock both those. There we go. Come on. And I'll hit the plus and I'll add sound. Determine where I want it to start. Control click, insert keyframe, and I'll drop the sound on the stage. So all right, there we go. So Command Return played it. I'm going to save this file, save as, save this so you have it. Keep everything organized. Don't run anything off an external drive when you're doing animation or things that are time-based. Run them right on your computer. Trust me, you will run into trouble if you try and run them off external drives. All right, so that is tutorial number 1.